folks, how you doing? Well, this is Miguel from the embargo man. Don't let don't let the name fool you. Well, now we're talking about high tariffs. Most likely we were hearing about high tariffs and trade wars and all this bunch of crap that here in the US, if it is not for Harley Davidson to having the high tariffs to not to be to sell their motorcycles in other countries. So, what are these high tariffs stands for? All right, this is kind of stupid and this is kind of idiotic. Just because you've been fooled with the name of what it says, Harley Davidson made in Japan. So we're not just talking about Japan in there, but it does go in towards this. But this is just one thing that the high tariffs of American products in Europe, that means that Harley Davidson might just probably decide to build a factory in France. That means is going to be cheaper and than just bringing it here or open up a facility in France, just sell it in sell Harley Davidson motorcycles in Europe. This is kind of one ridiculous thing of high tariffs of foreign steel from Europe and stuff. But this is quite a contrary that this company that makes motorcycles, their main thing is that they're selling it too high. I mean, it's not just Europe, but tariffs on China. I mean, believe me, there's some Chinese knockoffs that are of Harley Davidson that are probably to most of you same quality as a Honda Shadow. Of course, a Harley Davidson knockoffs from China having the same quality as a Honda Shadow for some of you that think that what it is in your mind. But hey, the thing is that one thing is that having you can have a motorcycle with the same quality or something like that made somewhere else, but then what was the point of the high tariffs? I believe this is bull, and I was thinking when I'm gonna show you around, if Harley Davidson were to lose money, they might just end up, guess what, being bought by Toyota. Would be the case? I'm gonna show you what's going on, and then I think to believe in what it is because I show you what it is in some pictures coming soon, coming right there. I'm gonna show you what's the reason to this point of all things coming true.
Now, what I think about Harley Davidson being made in Japan, if Toyota buys them and they're not gonna be manufactured in the United States and they're gonna bring those bikes from Japan, that's bullshit. Well, that is one thing that I thought, and then when things goes around, but just because of those stupid tariffs and Toyota buys Harley Davidson, that doesn't mean that these bikes are not going to be made in America for the USA. The idea of people in Milwaukee and Wisconsin and York, Pennsylvania are in the unemployment office because Toyota bought Harley Davidson and they shipped their manufacturing to Japan. So this is bullshit. The thing is with these tariffs, well, this is not just the unemployment office, but I mean, it might have to be seen so because of this bullshit. I mean, tell me, would anybody could believe this crap? I mean, I just have it stuck in my head, but this is what the BS what people think because of them stupid tariffs. You know, these are like those stupid tariffs that people believe that this could happen. Yes, this could happen right now, and I mean, it sucks. It's plain sucks. People don't believe this. So this is the VR 1000. Yeah, if Toyota buys Harley Davidson, the VR 1000 might be imported from Japan. No. Well, they might make them in Milwaukee, but yes, some of them are might be imported from Japan. But this is bullshit. But that's just in the first years. But the rest is gonna be made in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or just made in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or in one of them, or in York, Pennsylvania. But you know, this is it. What people believe in all this crap about, you know, Harley Davidson being outsourced because of them stupid tariffs. I mean, temporary tariffs are gonna be it, and that's one thing we're gonna see. So these bikes are gonna sell like hotcakes once Toyota get the hands on them. So that's be the best bet. What Harley Davidson is going through with lower sales in the U.S. and probably a Japanese company like Toyota might acquire Harley Davidson and set factories in Japan for the Japanese market.
Okay, now, so if the high tariffs, not just in Europe but in China and stuff, would ever affect Harley Davidson sales, would Harley Davidson being owned by Toyota, even though the VR 1000, as you see that bike, yeah, I mean Harley Davidson being bought, being acquired by Toyota, that means those all the Harley Davidson motorcycles are going to be made in Japan for the U.S. market? No, that's bullshit. Yeah, bullshit. Why? Because it is bullshit. Because they say, oh, Harley Davidson is bought by a Japanese company. They're making bikes in Japan, and they're gonna bring it to the U.S. But that's bullshit, and that is bullshit because they're not gonna be made in Japan for the U.S. It is only for the Japanese market. And what is this thing? And this idiotic thing of free trade. And then one thing that I remember, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, I think it is a free trade agreement. I mean, it was a stupid move that what we have now, the president didn't sign the TPP. Why is that reason and why it is? Because I think the high tariffs, I mean high tariffs in Canada and high tariffs in Mexico. I mean, we have the NAFTA, right? But the high tariffs in Europe have held Harley Davidson to make a factory in France if they decide to sell it in Europe or anywhere in Europe for that matter. Or am I just saying high tariffs on Japanese goods and the US put high tariffs on Japanese goods? That is just temporary tariffs. And let me tell you why they are temporary tariffs. Temporary tariffs because I think if this guy's not impeached, this temporary tariffs is because there might be one way to cut the line of this bullshit thing. It is more that we have, that we have another country that is a former World War II country spending on military spending. I mean, Japan for that case. And that's where we're gonna have. And get ready for another free trade agreement that it's involved with American fighter jets. Yes, American fighter jets, and it's called uh, it is called uh, it is called UJet or I don't know, it's called. I I know the name is get ready for one thing, and one free trade agreement is involving Japan, U.S., Japan, and Panama. You know, and it's called USTF. It's called US USJ Pan TF or USJ. I forgot the name. US USJ USJ Pan TF Pan TAFTA. USJ Pan TAFTA is a free trade agreement between the US, Japan, and Panama. And I mean, this is involved with this. It is all because of what would happen. And you do remember Reagan's Contra affair, and they went to Nicaragua and stuff. That was going to happen, but that would lead through all these things to U.S. and free trade agreement of U.S. fighter jets, and not just that, and plus this, we will have Shinkansen high-speed rail by Amtrak, but this USJ Pantha is this free trade agreement that it would lead to Colombia going in favor of Korea and the lane court rocks. Okay, that's one thing I could tell you about it. What is this lane court rocks thing? That's just in another video, because once this kind of free trade agreement, it is what it is. I mean that of course that what it is, like this would lead to Japan helping out free one country, doing what Ronald Reagan has did back in the day, but just helping out, stealing. It's like saying, okay, get somebody else's, regain your property, but go, and this says, go steal somebody else's house, go rob somebody else's house. Okay, that's how it is. But just put it that way, we ain't gonna talk about in that video, is because even though just temporary tariffs comes there, but saying of something of this called fair trade, this fair trade thing of fair trade, not just free trade agreement, but fair trade, and the thing is with NAFTA, it's kind of ridiculous, right? This is kind of ridiculous that most American, that is kind of ridiculous that most of U.S. auto manufacturing are done by foreign companies. An example with tariffs in China and stuff. For example, the Buick Envision is made in China. The Mercedes-Benz G-Class SUV is made in Alabama. And how the hell you have a Mercedes-Benz SUV made in Alabama and a Buick Envision made in China? Even though Mercedes-Benz is German, Buick is from the United States of America. And this is kind of ridiculous that these things could be going on with trade deficits, tariffs, and everything else. But whatever that case may be, we have U.S. free trade, free trade with South Korea. But that would change with these temporary tariffs, that trade wars and everything else. We might have two countries doing a trade war. I mean, two-country trade war, or how it is, right? With this USJ Pantha thing, we might be a trade war with Japan, and the U.S. trade war with South Korea. for that example, there's gonna be like that, and these tariffs on Korean goods would be for the benefit just to helping out, take down Ortega, and pull that, yeah, put in all aspects. In other words, just to Japan gain back the lane core rocks from Korea by stealing from Colombia. Boom. That's what it is. That's the main reason about a trade war. I mean, this thing with trade wars, and the U.S. had trade war with Japan, but if the U.S. did this kind of free trade between Panama, just bringing American fighter jets made for the Japanese military to be there in Panama, and that's where it's gonna go, and I think anything like that, and because I mean these things about trade and trade wars, everything is this kind of new free trade agreement is for military purposes. So the U.S. could build fighter jets. They will have signed an agreement to ditch Article 9, or yes, the Japanese Article 9. So the U.S. could do free trade through Japan and Panama, because of fighter jets, and through fighter jets for a Japanese base in Panama, sharing with the U.S. and so for only for one thing, and just calling the ship Takashima. What is all this? What is all this thing about? Maybe you have all this thing one until I get to the Lane Core Rocks video. The Lane Core Rocks video is gonna come up here in Embargo Man. I'm just saying. I could agree to disagree, because all these things suddenly there's one thing for sure, that we're all this thing of free trade for weapons, free trade for what? I mean, or the so-called fair trade, right? Why is the reason all these tariffs on on foreign goods? I mean, could be temporary tariffs and could be permanent tariffs, because I believe free trade is good for the U.S. if it's involved in improving the high-speed rail, but just add weapons, just add fighter jets and stuff. Now we're talking about something fishy going on right there. The main thing I'm just saying about that, all this tariffs and all these tariffs, and then more Harley-Davidson motorcycles, that it's going to lead to Harley-Davidson motorcycles being made in Japan for a temporary tariffs until they have an agreement with USJ Panther. Then it's gonna be all hell break loose. Those Korea land campaigns all over Colombia, and so forth, right? And that's the reason it's going haywire, because it's all political BS, because it is what it is. Territorial dispute, political BF, and everybody jumping on the bandwagon over territorial disputes. Why? Because that is where it's going on. Probably if it does go on, get ready to see a bunch of videos, a bunch of lane court rocks in favor of Korea videos, flash mobs, because of USJ Panther. Everything with everything like though it's Korea land, flash mobs all over Colombia and all over Bogota because of some reason. Why? Because that is where we're going to lead for, and that it is. Even though it's gonna be, even though it's saying that Harley Davidson being owned by Toyota said that all the Harley Davidson motorcycles is going to be made in Japan for the U.S. market, that's bullshit. Let me tell you why it's bullshit. Because that would be that Harley Davidson motorcycle is still gonna be made in America, but for the Japanese market, it's gonna be made in Japan. Just like what would happen with those tariffs about Harley Davidson motorcycles being made in Europe for the European market. And they're gonna be made in Thailand pretty soon because they open up a factory in Thailand. Can you imagine that? Open up a factory in Thailand where you could export it to Australia or something? Yes, of course. They might just Aussies will buy Thai-made Harleys and 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 so forth. This is where it goes with these tariffs and all this garbage. Why? Because multinational companies, and they go and make an, even though Harley Davidson make bikes in Brazil, they make motorcycles in India. That means that all this phony baloney garbage about tariffs and all this, even temporary or permanent tariffs. I think that we all need is to have these fair trade deals, or the so-called fair trade deals. Suddenly is like inflation. Even we might have Harley Davidsons that are manufactured in China for the Chinese market. Probably they would make even even that, if that would be exported to the U.S. Chinese made Harley Davidson's motorcycle, they will have the CR approval of being bought compared to the American counterparts, if that is possible. And I don't think so. Same quality. They might just fake it. They might just like everything else. And I think that even Ford Motor Company, just because of stupid TPP, they might just buy Mazda and bring back the T-Bird being made in Japan, Hiroshima, Japan. And that's one thing is with, if there's gonna be this new trade agreement, new free trade agreement between U.S., Panama, and Japan. U.S., Japan, and Panama. That's going to be like, things were going on. If that thing happens, what was going to happen with this free trade agreement? Or so-called fair trade. Opening up for Mazda acquiring 100% of Ford, and Mazda becomes Ford of Japan, and then the Miata becomes Thunderbird and stuff. That means that if that could happen, then some other things could happen also. If that is to accord the USJ PANFTA, if the USJ PANFTA, that means the US Japan Panama Free Trade Agreement, USJ PANFTA, then we would see, or get ready to see, a bunch of lame court rocks marches in favor of Korea, videos dancing around like I might have seen, like in every YouTube video I have seen it, all over Colombia. Why? Because there's gonna be some things going on right there, and there is some things going on right there after there would be a U.S. Japan Panama Free Trade Agreement. And that's the reason why you're gonna settle in, okay, you settle in with a bunch of shitload of videos of those Korea land, Medellin, in Bogota, in every Colombian town for some reason why. And I tell you what, because coming up, I might just say about the Takashima video, and I have a book, right? And I have a book in mind. I was thinking of writing a book, but for now on, what's going on with these tariffs and what's going on with these trade deals and everything is that if that could happen, a free trade between the U.S., Japan, and Panama, even to just bring fighter jets for Japanese ships for the Japanese Marine self-defense base in Panama, sharing it with the U.S. and having Japan in the Panama Canal or some case, you will see these bunch of videos of those Korea land and Colombia, because that is what is going to happen right now. That is going to happen right now. Just subscribe to my channel and please support me on Patreon, because I think everything you see, all this, the tariffs and all this stuff, and now people burning Nike shoes, I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. That's crazy. But just get ready for whatever happens with this USJ Panther. Just get ready for something that is going to be crazy. Though it's Korea land, or that means Colombia is doing campaigns to be in favor of Korea over the sovereignty of the land court rocks, known as Takashima in Japan. Goodbye.